everyone, welcome to Trend Talks, and today I have the pleasure to talk with Olivier Jean, and he is the Chief Operating Officer of ELEXENT Group, and he's based in Paris in France. The company simplifies and optimizes charging of electric vehicles for professionals. Olivier worked for more than 19 years at the Renault Group. So we're going to talk today about electric vehicles and relationship with PV. Welcome, Olivier.
Hello, welcome.
All right, Olivier, to kick off with, you're in the business of electric vehicles and charging in particular. What do you see, what kind of developments do you see happening in France in this area?
Actually, we can talk about France, but also I can give you some hints about Europe as well, because I mean, now we can see that the electrification, let's say, of the park of the industry is really growing. What is, let's say, a little bit striking me when we are discussing about that is that in this context of the pandemic, and what we have seen, it's that the global TIV, total industry vehicles of last year was decreasing of 25% globally in Europe, but at the same time, the park of and the sales of electrified vehicles grew up of 140%. So you see that it's a major trend. And to answer to your question, this is also true in France. And in France, it was exactly the same, 140% growth in terms of electrified vehicles. So the trend is there for many reasons. So we can go on and into the different reasons, but there are a lot of reasons that explain that this is there right now, and this will grow in the future anyway.
Yeah, and what do you think are the major thresholds or the major challenges in the growth of this market?
I will say there are different levers. The first one, and still very pregnant, is the incentive and the regulation, because this is really something which is defining the scope of your activity. So in countries, for instance, where you don't have any incentive, the market has difficulty to grow. But in countries like Norway, for instance, which is or your country actually, Edwin, or the Netherlands, where incentives are well in place, then we see the market growing. So incentive is playing a lot of role, whether at state level or region or municipalities. And you've got a lot of municipalities that have zero emission zones or low emission zones, whatever. And then they are forcing somehow the population or the companies to enter in this electrification. So regulation is key. That's the first point. Also, Europe, Brussels is putting a lot of pressure on the OEM. The CAFE regulation is putting a lot of pressure on those guys so that if they don't respect the CO2 targets, the penalties are just enormous. So the offer of EVs from the OEM is also growing very fast. So we will have more than 400 EVs in the coming years. So
models,
this helps also to the models,
yeah. And so if you look at technology, is the availability of batteries a threshold or a challenge in this market?
So far, I will not say that it's an issue. It's just that the technology is evolving very fast. So it means that compared to, and if I take the example of the group Renault, when the first ZOE or the first Fluence were launched 12 years ago, it's a little bit like the mobile phone industry somehow. It's the battery were very big, very heavy, with a limited range. Now we see that with the technology, the range is not that much an issue anymore. You can easily have 250, 300 kilometers, and of course much more on some other brands. And so I think the range is not an issue anymore. And the arrival of new technology like the solid-state battery, then you will have even more potential, let's say, of evolution. Yeah.
And what about the charging and charging stations? What's your outlook on that?
Actually, we are, I mean, and this is the aim of Elexent, and the creation of Elexent was really to help the customers and mainly the B2B to tackle this issue, let's say, of charging, whether we charge at home, at work, or on the street. I will say regarding the charging at work, it's probably pretty well done. And now we see that the companies that are in the willingness of switching, let's say, to electromobility or to go to induced transition, there is no big issue. And even more, they are really, how can I say, taking this opportunity or these constraints. From time to time, it's a constraint to switch to electric. but in a global view. So it's not only talking about charging and pure hardware, but it's also charging as a global solution that involves energy, that involves renewable energy, and it's kind of an ecosystem that they want to build. This is really for the charging at work. On the street, it's another topic. There is a lot of things to be done over there in terms of public infrastructure. And at home, also, we can see that a lot of consumers or employees of company, when they want to charge at home, they are also really focused on having not only a charger, but a solution that is much more green or greener than purely having a charger with fossil energy, let's say. Yeah.
Would that mean that if you have to build new charging stations, either at home or on the street or at companies, that it will will drive the solar market, because customers require PV carports or PV roofs or?
Definitely, and this is what we are doing in Elexent. I mean, we are offering a full package of solution, and as we are coming, let's say, from the car industry at the beginning, and we are not there to sell any hardware or software for many brands or whatever, we are really taking into account what is the key success factor of implementing a transition towards mobility. We are really taking this into account, and we are partnering with people in the countries, which are companies that are specialists, and it's funny because they are mostly specialists of PV and solar at the beginning, and then thanks to solar and thanks to PV, they are more and more evolving towards, okay, how can I use this energy that I produce through the PV to charge some vehicles? And so this is the case, for instance, of Solstice, which is our partner in France. This is the case of Enersol, which is our partner in Belgium and Luxembourg, for instance, or GP Joule in Austria, Germany, and Switzerland. All of them, firstly and mainly, their core business was solar panels and green energy, and then step by step they move towards charging, and this is what we're able to propose through Elexent.
Okay. We're running out of time in this brief interview, Olivier. We could talk for hours, I guess, on this very interesting topic. But is there any particular trend that you're very excited about that is happening in relation to the charging and maybe to solar as well?
But what we can see is that charging shouldn't be taken as a pure, as I said, a pure hardware, and that's it. I mean, it's a full package. One good example that I can give you, it was a test made from Group Renault in France. They have taken a village. They have taken a village in the south of France, and they have offered to those very small village, 25 people. They have offered them ZOE electric vehicles for free, okay, just for free just to test and to make sure that in this countryside area, an electric vehicle is something which is amazing. And one of the first remarks from the users said, okay, you are giving us for free ZOE, but does it make sense at all if the energy that we provide to the car is not green, and if it's not renewable, and so on? So you see that when you are talking about electric vehicles, of course, renewable energy is part of the scope, and that's why, for instance, that in France we have a partner which is Plume Energy, who has received, by the way, a Greenpeace award for real green energy, because a lot of people are calling themselves providers of green energy, which is not always the case. But with Plume, we are bundling and we are offering the charger at home, but also a specific contract of energy where we are sure to use 100% renewable energy. This is really key in terms of philosophy and mindset for the people who want to use electric vehicles.
All right. Well, with these nice words, we have to stop the interview. Thank you very much, Olivier. Look forward to meeting you at one of our next events on stage, where we can discuss further about this very interesting trend. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Edwin.
Bye-bye.
Bye.